Greenwood. The first year I didn't set foot inside the cemetery. The still smoking hole across the water held my attention, a smell curling inside the minds of the million-headed city, even in sleep. A weather breath resurrects. The second summer, I thought of taking an old boyfriend from LA for a tour, first public opening of Greenwood's catacombs. We cross the street, join a flock of Manhattanites looking around at nowhere Brooklyn. The catacombs turn out to be American, a filing system. The long whitewashed tunnel built into a hill exhales its blank air. We shuffle past dark niches, each topped by a soil-clogged skylight. Our flashlights find stack after stack of sealed drawers with plaques, no bodies, no bones. Among the crowd, I see Micah Guerin, who will be kidnapped in Iraq while shooting a documentary about looted artifacts. Fact means not true, but to make. The fact of art, a trace. My guest also is named Micah, who prophesied the destruction of Jerusalem. This one made an anti-Bush book out of World War II propaganda posters. Later, the Washington Post will reveal as a lie his detailed description of jumping into Panama as an Army Ranger, a fact I wore like jewelry. On TV, we will watch Micah Guerin's tearful fiancé and West Village neighbors. This one will convince his captors he seeks to expose the truth about the war, and they will let him go. Lucky, a word of mysterious origin. Lucky, we all said, that we came up from the subway after the plane hit, but before the buildings weakened enough to collapse. And then, behead, from the Old English, behefjin, be with privative force, plus hefod, head, that rock-ribbed isle. In 1832, a desire awoke in Henry Evelyn Pierpont, grandson of New York State's largest landowner. He envisioned a cemetery on Brooklyn's thickly wooded Gowanus Hills, which he had known in the sporting days of boyhood. The idea was a radical one, inspired by the landmark cemeteries of Europe, such as Père Lachaise, and influenced by Mount Auburn in Boston, the first American cemetery described as rural, a late word looking back through the fence. Fall, I walk into the cemetery almost daily, between trips home to New Mexico for rounds of what is called my mother's chemotherapy, a Frankenstein of healing plus alchemy, too chemical transmuted from the ancient name for Egypt, black earth, or Greek for sap, a quickness, the place. I get lost in it. Acres 478, interred approximately 600,000, plus full fall trees among the oldest left in Brooklyn, a road enclosed in oak light. Every turn makes me take a breath. I dilate and respire, so I am more like trees, a net of breathing. My footsteps sound outside my head and in. At first I am afraid a little, not of ghosts or seeing bodies, maybe just of staying lost, or of coming across someone live, a cemetery worker who might ask me what I'm doing here. Soon I understand, which means to lift. The cemetery maintains its own quotidian, a rhythm. See the army of guys in green uniforms, the Greens, I think, engines strapped to backs, blowing leaves off paths. Don't fall, fall. Plus constant funerals. the foreign birds. Custom held that people be buried only in the sanctified ground of churches, but epidemics of yellow fever and cholera swept the city, and the dead overflowed the churchyards. In 1823, Francis Allen described the graveyard of downtown Manhattan's Trinity Church as saturated with flesh. Bones had to be dug up to make room for new bodies, and New York sometimes had to ship its dead to Boston or Philadelphia, as it now does its trash. The word decayed from the sound of cut down woods. See twig, splinter, and sprig. What language did this blood once speak? I meant it to be hardly words, not trees. The weeping beech curves over the road, forming a room of green light. I stand underneath and breathe in it, really 3 trees clustered together. The small-teethed leaves seem edged with fire, shadowing leaves below. I hear a distant bus horn from the Jackie Gleason depot, and close by, the sound of sparrows pecking insects from the bark. The cemetery tree census lists 36 European and American beeches and their cultivars, the cut leaf, weeping, and purple. I have counted in one morning more than 50. Beech trees belong to the genus Phagus, named for the Celtic tree god. They also are called elephant because of their smooth skin, like a hide. This makes people want to carve them. Nearly all have graffiti, the oldest marks grown fat with a widening tree. Julia, 1970, PDG, Bubba, 7th Street Chuck, ISH Unreadable, 1945, 1960, RMC, Inside a Little House, AC, Tiny Joey, DC Beneath a Crown, Larry and Janine, Wolfie plus Angel. Ancient Saxon tribes carved runes in tablets cut from beech bark. Book and beech split from the same root. First fence, a voice. Lie down, ferocious feeling. Rune means secret, a darkness. The Norse god Odin uncovered the knowledge of runes by piercing himself with his own sword for 9 nights to the windy world tree. The colonists must have taken comfort from the sight of American beaches, so like the common trees of home. Plains tribes like the Lakota gain proximity to God by tying themselves to a sacred tree with ropes and strips of leather pierced through the skin of their chests. They pull away until the flesh rips. In England, the Puritans chopped down as heretical the Glastonbury hawthorn, which bloomed in winter. Believers claimed it sprouted from the staff of Joseph of Arimathea, who craved the body of Jesus. Home, in its full range and feeling, belongs distinctively to English. Lie down. Ferocious. The leaves of the purple beech look glossy, almost black from a distance, but underneath they cast a cool green shadow. I circle the trunk of one and find a gash that splits the tree almost in half. Inside, a pale fungus has grown in layers, like lace. The trunk looks black and dead, as if charred by a fire. The fungus, strangely beautiful, feels moist and airy in my fingers. Hot and total ruin. I sign my name here. First snowfall. I follow a path scraped down to stiff grass to the grave of Joseph O. Benke. Beside it sags a half-melted snowman, thorn branch sticking out of its back. 1958 to 2004, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Lived for his family, died for God and country. A soldier carved into the stone kneels with his head down, rifle propped in one hand, helmet dangling from the other. The name Miriam P. is inscribed below, awaiting her dates. Word, a lamp, awaiting fire. In the 1940s, grave owners at Greenwood donated the wrought iron fences around their plots as scrap for bullets and ships. Today, in many places, only the gates remain, connecting nothing. More than a dozen condolence notes appear on the Benki tribute site at fallenheroesmemorial.com. Specialist Kovalik ends his note, "I still feel a bit guilty though, and you know why. Take care, Benki." The first use of the word would to mean insane appears in the year 725. They be bitten by the wood dog, the devil, and be fallen wood themselves. Numb with cold, I turn from Benki's grave back toward the gate, head down against the wind. By the edge of valley water, I notice a stone inscribed Martha with a seal for the Women's Overseas Service League, half sunk in dirt. I scrape off leaves and snow with a stick to uncover the last name, Effie. A fat white caterpillar tucked inside the eye recoils from the stick. It moves more and more slowly until it freezes in the frigid air. I shall appear blank, a gleaming creature. That's Greenwood.